Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. What I wanted to talk about today is the 5DA universe since I made the video the other day. But what I wanted to talk about is the manifestation of that universe and how it's been taking place. Um, and for those of you who watched the other videos I've made and read some of my books, you already understand about the 5DA universe and the concept. So I'm not going to rehash all that information here. What I'm going to tell you about is how that manifestation process has been taking place about over the last 4 months roughly. And if you also understand about time and how time works and that all that ever is or could ever be existed already exists. So yes, we're already there. We're already in this 5DA reality if things are already being experienced. But what I'm going to explain to you is the linear process of this manifestation and how I have observed it. I have the ability to project my awareness at different times to different locations and be able to see what's there and what is happening. And I'm not talking so much on this world, but outside of, I'm able to do that at times. And several months ago, as I said, probably about 4 months ago now, roughly, uh, I had an experience that allowed me to start manifesting and decided it was time, or had the knowing that it was time to start manifesting a 5DA reality. I say manifesting because of those who understand we're not creating anything. Anything that ever is or could be already exists. All we were doing is entering that vibration in order to create the reality that that vibration encompasses. So when I say that I'm manifesting 5DA, all I'm doing is entering that vibration, which allows that reality to then manifest into the illusion of a physical presence, a physical form for us to be able to experience, just like your reality every day. So anyway, like I said, it was probably close to 4 months ago now when I had the knowing that I needed to start doing that. I projected a what I'll call a bubble reality within the fourth dimension, a bubble universe. For those of you who aren't aware, 3D is was created as a bubble universe inside of the fourth dimension. That's where it came from, how it was formed. Now, the 3D universe does not exist as a singularity by itself, but inside of the fourth dimension, which is where the energy comes and goes to. So 3D has been absorbed by fourth dimension. We are in the lower aspects of a fourth dimensional reality. 3D is in essence gone. So anyway, what I did is I projected a bubble universe inside the fourth dimension. My awareness was inside of this bubble. I was able to see the firmament that surrounded it. There was almost like a little platform where I was, where my awareness was. I was not there physically, just my awareness, but I could see what was going on and know. The entire inside of this firmament was dark. There was no lights. There was nothing there. Yet at the same time, on what I would say is what the left side of my awareness was an avatar, and the avatar was standing against the edge of the firmament wall. And I knew at that moment that that avatar was my 5DA avatar that I'll have in that reality, which is essentially, I guess, the best versions of Ron without all of my idiosyncrasies and quirks and problems and issues that we have here. Uh, I I could see the avatar, but I could not see the front of the avatar. I could see what would be the right side of it and the back of it to a certain extent. It had on almost like a dark suit type. It was taller. I could see that it had dark hair, and I could see part of an ear, the right ear. I could not see the face or the hands or anything else about it. No matter how much I tried to move my awareness to get a look at it, I was unable to do so. So at that point, I had the knowing that I started projecting that I had to populate this 5DA reality with various things that are going to be needed. And that of course changed later on. And I'll explain that too. So I projected the Earth. I projected Saturn with the rings, which again, the rings will disappear as it goes forward because Saturn will again be the sun as it was in 5D. The moon was there. There was lights, what we would call today like the stars in the sky. these lights, instead of being stars, and it's the actually same as what ours are, they are realities, dimension, reality, possibility. It's all that exists. They are essentially points of energetic vibrations. So they started appearing. And as I was projecting the Earth, the Moon, the other things into there, and then I noticed that a light kind of separated itself from the others and was in the distance. It was much brighter than the others. And over the next week or so, I realized that I needed to stop projecting what I thought needed to be inside this 5DA reality. That I had gotten it started. I had put some objects there, and I needed now to allow it to start growing, manifesting on its own, which I did. I stepped back. My awareness was still there, watching it when I projected into it. But I was no longer putting forth what I thought needed to be in there. And about that same time, I noticed that there were almost these hourglass type shapes that were coming from the inside of the firmament up through the top, which would have been into the fourth dimension. In other words, it started drawing energy from the fourth dimensional universe into this 5DA universe. And when it started doing that, the light that had been brighter than the others started expanding and growing. It eventually became what would reflect to like a small galaxy, only it was like an inner tube, which I know now is a torus or a torsion field that was there, but it was of light. And that started growing and moving more towards where my awareness was. At the same time that started happening, the Earth, the Moon, Sun, Saturn that I had projected into that reality had disappeared. They had been absorbed. All of the lights that had been in the sky had been absorbed into this singular tubular torus field of energy. And it started expanding and didn't take up everything yet, but it was starting to get bigger. As it started doing that, the outside, what I would say would be the left side as I'm looking at it, started becoming a metallic appearing tube, round tube like an inner tube, but it started becoming metallic in appearance on the left side. The right side was still all light. I was able to, at that point, project my awareness inside of that metallic tubular object, or metallic looking. I can't say it was metallic because I never touched it, so I don't know exactly what it was. I'm assuming it's some similar energy field. Inside of that object, I saw a second avatar. It was different than the first one. It actually had on shorts and a t-shirt, which I thought was kind of strange, but it was standing against the wall of the this object, whatever it was. I could see some objects along the walls itself, but I could not project my awareness anywhere else inside of it in order to look around, and that was what my goal was, but I wasn't able to do that. So I again projected myself back out of there, and then I noticed that over the course of the month or so that that metallic look had spread to the entire object. And I also noticed that that avatar that had been on my left had moved forward about 3 steps. And I still wasn't able to see any more of it, but it had moved forward. And then as I continued to watch, um, and again, over the next month or so, month or two, and again, I wasn't there all the time. I would just, every now and then, every couple of days, I would project my awareness into there to see what was going on, how it was developing. I was not putting my intentions forth as to what it needed to be, how it needed to grow or develop, or what needed to happen. I was simply allowing it to take place. The round tubular metal object that was there, metallic object, just started disappearing and started becoming light again. That same light galaxy type shape that it was. At the same time it did that, those hourglass funnels that had been drawing energy had disappeared. And again, this is over the course of the last 3 or 4 months that this is all taking place. It's not one thing after another, right away. That light, that torus field, of energy that was the fifth dimension in 5DA, which is basically everything that has ever existed vibrationally, was there, started expanding inside of the firmament. And as it did that, as of probably a month ago, maybe a little less, my awareness was kicked out of that area. In other words, I was no longer inside of this firmament area. The avatar course and all that had disappeared. Where it went must have gone inside that torus field, however it did that, as well as everything else that had been in there. But anyway, my awareness was outside of this firmament. I'll just call it firmament for lack of a better word, this energetic field. And I could see that the light on the inside of the torus field had expanded enough that it completely filled what had been an empty bubble universe in the very beginning, and you could see it kind of bulging against the surface. I could not project myself back inside. I wasn't allowed to for whatever reason, maybe because of the energies, I don't know. So what happened is that has continued, and I've noticed over the last, I think about the last 2 weeks or so, as I've gone back and looked, my awareness is still on the outside of this 5D, a projection, but there is a avatar, and it's the same one that was inside of that metallic looking craft type torus field object. It's that same avatar with the shorts and the t-shirt. It has been on top of this firmament, and it has recently started cutting the top of the firmament. The other day when I looked, I saw that, and initially nothing had happened. It was just cutting it. It was not a big gap, but it was starting some cutting, and then it would stop. Now there is a light projecting out of that slit, the smaller slit that it had made, something like shining a flashlight through a hole in a piece of cardboard or something. There is nothing, it hasn't started really expanding anywhere yet, but there is some light projection coming from it. I'm not sure exactly when it's going to finally absorb the firmament, whether it's going to be cut open entirely or whether the 5DA universe will eventually all come out through the cuts and it simply take over the entire fourth-dimensional universe, which is what it's going to do eventually. But how and when that's going to happen, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how much my awareness is going to be able to observe or partake in that as time goes on, but I'm just telling you where it is at this point. I've always felt that ultimately it was going to finally happen when I leave this, what was now this body of Ron, this projection, how I'm going to do that, which again, I've already done it at some point, but I'm just talking to you in a linear manner how that took place. That will be the eventual portal for the opening of the 5DA universe, for others to be able to enter, those who are ready, wanting, and willing to do so. Again, it's not going to be for everybody. It simply was never designed that way. Many will maybe move another time, but it is, I'm just letting you know that that 5DA universe, how it was manifested and how it's been moving on. There's also other energies that have been put in there that have helped to populate and expand it, so to speak, vibrationally, so that it is in essence like a baby in a womb that is simply getting ready to be birthed. And when that's going to take place and how exactly, as I said, I don't know at this point. I haven't gotten any more information on that. If I get more later on, I will pass it on to you. So this video is for informational purposes, just to kind of let you know where things are going and kind of what I've been up to for the last few months, which is partly why I haven't been making any videos. Anyway, you have yourself a great day, and I will see you here or I will see you there.